morning and thanks for your company this Thursday morning. Developing at 8, hope is slowly fading in the search for that sub missing near the wreck of the Titanic. This morning, the crew of 5 on board believed to have less than 20 hours of oxygen left. But there are still positive signs. More noises have been detected underwater overnight. They've been described as banging sounds. This has led to the search area being expanded to 3 times the size of Sydney City and 4 kilometres deep. One man who was to be on that sub telling us he thinks the banging is coming from his friend on board.
And that's just the sort of thing I would expect somebody like Hamish to come up with. He's fiercely intellectual, very grounded, not prone to panic. He'd have been sitting there, because we don't know the situation. We don't know if it's snagged, just dropped to the bottom or what. But whatever the situation, I'm sure he was sitting there working out the optimal route and just trying to improve their chances of being found.
US correspondent Alison Petrowski is following developments and joins us live. Ali, this is still very much a rescue mission.
Yeah, it is, Sarah, and that is because of the noises that they are hearing. The US Coast Guard confirming this morning that a Canadian P-3 aircraft picked up banging and other noises, not just yesterday, but also again this morning. Captain Jamie Frederick of the Boston Coast Guard says it's not clear what these noises are. They might be noises from other search vessels in the area. It could be coming from marine life just sounding like humans, but there is a chance that it could be coming from the crew of that missing sub, and that is now what is driving this enormous and desperate search and rescue operation. 5 ships right now are in the search zone. More are on their way. 10 will be there by this time tomorrow. But look, Sarah, time is running out.
I can't tell you what the noises are, but what I can tell you is, and I think this is the most important point, we're searching where the noises are. We're in the air, we're searching there. We moved assets and we're searching there, and we'll continue to do so.
We understand that there's roughly 17 hours of emergency air left. Captain Frederick this morning in that press conference trying to urge media not to keep talking about the hours of oxygen left. He says there are many other factors involved in a rescue, including food and water. But look, it is hard not to think about it, Sarah, and it does make today such a critical one.
Absolutely, it does. Ali, thank you.
Fingers crossed.
Welcome back. Well, banging has been heard near the wreck of the Titanic. Authorities hoping the sounds could lead them to the stranded sub crew.
Yeah, but as the hours tick by, the supply of oxygen is getting dangerously low and will run out, get this, later today. Let's bring in explorer Chris Brown, who was scheduled to join a voyage on this very sub. Good morning to you, Chris. Thank you so much for being with us. A pretty trying time for everyone involved. You paid a deposit to be on this sub. Why did you not go?
Good morning. First, could I just clear up? I paid a deposit to go down with Ocean Gate to do a similar trip as this one. It wasn't necessarily this exact trip.
Okay.
I looked what explorers do when they're going into expeditions. They take a grasp of all the risks that they foresee in an expedition. They'll try and mitigate those that they can. They might use different equipment. They might bring in the help of some experts. You might mitigate some risk by simply changing the time of year that you do your expedition. I had a look at it, and there just seemed quite a few risks that were outside my control. Ocean Gate were missing depth targets continuously. Parts of the sub, in my view, were a bit ad hoc. I just generally got a bit of a bad feeling, so I withdrew from the operation.
Yeah, Chris, I read that you were concerned that they may have been cutting corners and even down to the sort of modified gaming controls that they were using.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the case that that's a good way of controlling the vehicle. It just seems a bit amateur. A lot of the stuff seemed to be off the shelf, using industrial piping for ballast. The fact that they flatly refused to try and get certification for the vessel didn't bode well. From what we've heard as well from a guy who worked at Ocean Gate, that the front windows only certified down to 1,300 metres, the wreck's at 3,800. Just a few factors came together that rang alarm bells for me personally.
Yeah.
But could I say that the main issue still is that there's 5 people below the ocean. Blaming everything else can come later. We need to get these people rescued.
Yeah.
and we have to send our thoughts out to the friends and family of those who are missing.
Yeah, you're a friend of Hamish Harding, and as you said before, you had a bad feeling. That bad feeling may well have saved your life. How are you feeling about all this now, Chris?
I take no joy from that. I just want to see these guys rescued. Yeah, you don't get any pleasure out of that sort of thing.
No, it's absolutely horrific to think what they must be enduring as well. Chris, what do you make of the banging sounds that we're hearing? Do you think they're signs of life?
It's interesting. Nothing's been fully verified as far as I can tell. The Coast Guard's saying that they were hearing the noises, or the first batch of noises, at 30-minute intervals. That would imply that it's human-made. It's not random. And that's just the sort of thing that I would expect somebody like Hamish to come up with. He's fiercely intellectual, very grounded, not prone to panic. He'd have been sitting there, because we don't know the situation. We don't know if it's snagged, just dropped to the bottom or what. But whatever the situation, I'm sure he was sitting there working out the optimal route and just trying to improve their chances of being found.
What's the best case scenario here?
Yeah.
The best case scenario is that the sub has come up to the surface and he's bobbing around somewhere, waiting to be found by the loads of aircraft and in the area. The subs, even if it's come to the surface, it still needs opening from the outside.
Yeah.
So oxygen would still be an issue.
Yeah, Chris, these are friends of yours. We're thinking of you. We hope and hope that they find these poor people.
It's so awful to
Thanks so much for being with us, and all the very best to you.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, the fact it rains, their oxygen runs out in a matter of hours.
Yeah, less than 20 hours. It's frightening.
It is fast approaching 0 hour for the crew on board the missing Titan submersible as the air inside rapidly runs out. But there is reason to hope, with rescue efforts turning to the location of banging sounds heard underwater. Let's bring in former Navy diver and underwater expert at the Australian Maritime College, Chris White in Launceston. Good morning to you, Chris. Thank you so much for being with us. This is a story that is gripping the world. But let's face facts here. Time is really running out now, isn't it?
Yeah, look, the longer it goes on, the lower the probability gets of a great outcome. So let's hope that's not the case. Yeah,
the oxygen will run out in a matter of hours, which is such a scary thing. But the banging sounds, those banging sounds, let's talk about that. That means there could be hope. They're at 30-second intervals, which is interesting. But it's another thing actually getting to the source of those bangs, right?
Yeah, look, the banging sounds are a really positive sign. The reporting on those indicates that they're not just 30 seconds apart, but regularly spaced on the hour and the half hour, which is a technique that's used in search and rescue. So you minimise your amount of effort for having to bang. Like, you're not banging all the time, you're just banging at those prescribed times. Unfortunately, the US Navy have been inconclusive, though, in trying to work out exactly the source and the nature of those. So it's good news, but it's not derived to a position as yet that they can then go and search more accurately from.
Yeah, can you give us a sense of the scale of this search? We're talking thousands upon thousands of kilometres here, aren't we?
Yeah, look, it's a massive search area. The Americans are reporting it as the size of Connecticut, but to put that in an Australian context, the area that they've already searched is roughly the same size as the city of Sydney. So it's a big area, and they're looking for a small thing. Yeah, the submersible itself is like just under 7 metres, so about the same size as a minibus. So it's a very challenging search, particularly because it's not just a search that's on the surface, because the vessel may be there, but when you put it in the subsurface context, it gets even more challenging because of the underwater environment.
It's just fascinating. They are bolted in there. They can't get out even if they are on the surface. What hope do you have, Chris, for these people?
Look, there's a lot of search equipment and assets that have been deployed. So the aircraft that are searching are purpose-built for conducting surface searches in small vessels. They're also purpose-built for looking for submarines, and the submersible in itself is really just a very small submarine. So the sonar buoys that they can deploy down that sonify the water and can listen for those sounds that you mentioned about the banging, They've got vehicles that are there that are remotely controlled, so not like the one behind me, but they have a tether that runs to the surface so they can be controlled. They have them there that are capable of getting down to the full ocean depth of about 3.8 kilometres in that area.
Yeah.
So should they be able to find it, which is a challenge, it's not easy, they do have the capabilities then to affect a recovery, get it back to the surface, and then, as you said, open that up and hopefully get the people out.
We can only hope. Our fingers and toes are crossed for these people. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.